are countries in the UK hosting their fair share of Syrian refugees? Well, figures suggest not, with Scotland taking the heaviest burden. Data released by the Home Office from October last year to March this year shows 71 local authorities accepted over 1,500 refugees. Scottish authorities accepted over a third of those arriving, totalling over 600. The most welcoming local authority is Coventry, where 105 Syrians were resettled in the 6-month period. Meanwhile, London councils accepted only 33, with the vast majority of boroughs in the capital taking none at all. We contacted some of the councils that have not accepted any refugees, such as the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead in Theresa May's constituency. It said that it has resettled people in the months following March of this year.
We welcomed our first family of refugees to the borough just over a month ago and have secured housing to welcome a second in the coming months. We have committed to taking 10 refugee families over a 5-year period. We are also looking into how we can best help the government's plans to help child refugees.
Well, for more on this, I'm now joined by Jamie Kerr, a human rights solicitor based in Dundee. Jamie, evening to you. Interesting, your part of the world then. Over a third of refugees have gone to Scotland. Why is that, do you think?
Evening, Bill. I think the Scottish Government and Scottish local authorities have made a very clear commitment to bring in refugees to Scotland. I think it's very disappointing that the rest of the UK, or the vast majority of local authorities, are taking either none or very few refugees.
Why are we not then seeing a fairer distribution across the entire country?
Well, as you mentioned, Scotland's taken over a third of the refugees here. It's unusual because the central government will pay for the integration costs for the first year. And we heard the speaker there say they're hoping to take 10, but you've got to remember that the UK government have committed to taking 20,000 refugees, and these are the most vulnerable refugees. And local authorities really need to step up to the plate.
Well, of course, though, don't those local authorities actually need some time to get themselves sorted out in terms of facilities? Because, as you say, now the number's risen to 20,000. There's quite a lot in terms of resources to sort out to host these refugees.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, but at the moment, during every moment the local authorities delay, we've got very vulnerable people being left behind in very drastic conditions. We're talking women, children, victims of torture. And what we see from the statistics published is that the Scottish local authorities and other local authorities like Coventry have managed to step up to the plate, get organised very quickly and start bringing people in. And I think we've got to bear in mind that the Prime Minister himself said that it's a moral responsibility to take these refugees into our local authorities. So yes, they might need time to prepare, but my view is that they need to act swiftly in this regard.
Interesting concerning the moral stance here. We know that during the period no refugees were accepted by Theresa May's constituency or by the constituency of the Home Office Minister, actually responsible for resettling refugees.
Yeah, I think that's very concerning. And those are the people who are pushing the policy. And I think if you look at the numbers and the statistics, a number of other very senior UK government ministers, their own local authorities are taking very few, if none. So one's got to ask what buy-in there has been from the local authorities, and one's also got to ask what have the UK government ministers done in their own areas to encourage their local authorities to take people and lead by example. The Scottish Government, to be fair to them, have led by example in relation to the refugee crisis that we see globally, and we see that reflected in Scottish local authorities taking well over a...
OK, yeah, putting that in perspective, Scotland certainly is playing its part, but when we look at the overall figure, now 20,000, that the Prime Minister wants to resettle, we're talking about millions of Syrians needing refuge. Do you think that Britain is really playing its part on the global scale here?
I think 20,000 sounds a large number, but in terms of the number of refugees, even from Syria, that number is totally dwarfed. So no, my own view is that the UK is not stepping up to the plate in terms of the big picture. 20,000 is a tiny number compared to the number of refugees there are, even from one country, even from Syria. So no, the UK government has to do more, but at the moment the focus has to be on the local authorities stepping up to take the 20,000, and then we have to pressure the government to move from there to take more very vulnerable people.
Jamie, thank you very much indeed. Jamie Kerr, live on RT UK.
Thank you.